Hello there, C Note here. I am testing a new setup for some videos I want to do in the future. I just got the Elgato Facecam, so I'm trying that on top of the monitor, and it's easily connected, and I've got the microphone, so I've got better audio and all of that stuff. And it's also simpler, so I'm trying that. I wanted to take this opportunity because I'm kind of in a mental space where I wanted to talk about what INTPs value in relationships. That could be friendships, partnerships, uh, like business partnerships, or even just like really close, wonderful relationships with people. And I think it's important to talk about from the INTP perspective for INTPs and for those who are maybe looking at how they can have a better relationship with their INTPs in their lives. Because there's a lot misunderstood about the INTP experience. It can be really easy to dismiss INTPs as being too critical, too harsh, mean, like too direct, or any of those things, right? Or just dismissive of relationships, dismissive of or just generally dismissive, right? Because our introverted thinking dominant function is all about deduction, and we're looking for inconsistencies, and and the reason we're looking for those things is because unconsciously we want to help. That inferior FE, we want to help people with our logic. It may not seem that way, or maybe you're in a place where you don't fully understand that yet. But that's part of why these videos exist, to help you discern and figure out the unconscious parts of yourself. And as an INTP, that's why like some people assume that I am an FJ, an INFJ or something like that. But I've done a lot of work around extroverted intuition and extroverted feeling, so I can express myself in this way more often. And it's taken a lot of energy, taken a lot of practice, and a lot of awareness of how my own extroverted feeling pops up, right? So this video, while it's about value in relationships, that INTPs value in relationships, it's really about that introverted thinking and extroverted feeling connection, which we cover more deeply in the INTP Empowerment Guide on our website at dopamine.school, if that's something you want to invest in for yourself for deeper personal growth. But this video is going to be covering, I want to start by just kind of talking about a series of tweets that I just wrote that really encompasses what I want to capture here in this video. So I'm going to just start reading. As an INTP, a manifestation of my TI and FE is that if I can't be honest with you, then I don't want to have a relationship with you. To me, that feels like a one-sided friendship, or in the past, like a partnership in which I need to delude myself for the sake of connection. And while that may sound fine or even wonderful to some other personality types, as an INTP, that's just not what I value. I know it feels like a tale as old as time in talking about personality types, but I find that it's been easy for others to dismiss or conflate my desire for honesty as disdain. So one thing I think everyone can afford to learn about INTPs, particularly INTPs themselves, yourself watching, is that when you shut down the ability for an INTP to be honest, you shut down the ability for them to care. Now, it's up to the INTP to not overdo this sharpness, be critical or rude about their honesty and authenticity, or interject their honesty. But what I'm saying is that when an INTP puts much effort into carefully crafting their questions or thoughts and still get shut down, well, then I'm done. I'm done if I get shut down at that point. So the question in the INTP mind starts to become, well, then why am I here? Like, what's the point of my presence? You can get this feeling or feedback from feedback from someone else. Like, if I'm just a body in front of you emoting back to you, then that's just not that doesn't feel like my purpose. That doesn't feel like why my mind exists, right? And I say this because I felt this before, and it can be an awful feeling, right? And if this happens over and over again, you can get to a real dark place as an INTP. You don't feel like you have any connection to anyone, because your bridge to connection as an INTP, your bridge using authenticity through logic and honesty, that keeps getting burnt down. And that can feel really, that can get to some real depressive places, right? And feel really lonely. So I say this because I felt this before, and it's an awful feeling. This is why I make these videos and content for INTPs, mostly since it's in line with my personal experience. INTPs have value in the world. And while plenty of INTPs can afford to fight for themselves more often, it's truly rare to find someone who can hold space for INTPs or for you as an INTP the same way that we're constantly asked to hold space for others. And so I know this reads or feels or sounds like a woe is me personality favoritism thing, and saying like INTPs have it the worst and everybody else has it great. That's not what I'm saying. Every type has their own version of this. And it isn't meant to reduce anyone else's experience. I'm just expressing this out of personal stress and care for my fellow INTPs. So two things really. One is that I am not trying to diminish any other personality type's experience, but this specifically can be and has been for a lot of people the INTP experience. That our bridge to connection, even when we're especially trying to put care and thought and attention into trying to connect with someone, when we get swatted away, it's like getting the taco swatted out of your hand. It's like, that's an awful feeling. Who wants that to happen? And then secondly, my friend from Personality Hacker, Antonia Dodge, had told me this quote that I mentioned in other videos around like, no one cares about how much you know until they know how much you care. And what I'm saying as a result of all of this, of what I wrote, is that even after we express care and then someone doesn't want that honesty, then it can feel like, what's the point? Why am I here? Why do I have to connect with people? Or why am I trying to connect with this person if they don't want my version of connection, right? And I think this is important for both the INTP, like I said, to fight for themselves. I think you as an INTP, I think it's important for you to speak up for what you want and being honest and saying like, I know this might sound like I'm trying to be harsh with you, but like, honestly, if I didn't care, I wouldn't say anything at all. I wouldn't even be here. I'd be going to do something else that I want. And I think more INTPs could be open about that and say that and be frank about that, really. Because everyone has their own idealism around what connection means and what it's like to be friendship. And then there's the socio-cultural versions of those things. There's just like what you're supposed to do in a relationship or a friendship or whatever, right? So we're always fighting against that stuff, and it's really a challenge. And especially when you get into like a long-term relationship with an INTP, if you're someone who is a confidant or friend of an INTP, it can be really, it could be easy to, over time, especially when you're working on your own personal stuff, to dismiss the INTP's questions or thoughts as like intrusive. And what's really happening is like the connection's getting severed, right? And while it's important for both parties to balance each other out, meaning that it's not good for the INTP to be one-sided either. It's not good for the INTP to just try to force their opinions, to try to force a connection, or force their opinions to try to be right, or force their opinions to prove some sort of superior intellectuality or something like that. Making up words. It's also not good for other people to try to force INTPs to be like them or to have connections in the way that they do, right? People have to meet in the middle. That's just the way it works. It's almost the reason why varying personality types exist, or at least I suspect that varying personality types exist, both in the Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, and other systems. Because if we were all the same person, then, everything would be fairly flat and I don't know, we wouldn't have to do much as humans. We would just eat and we'd be satisfied. But interpersonal relationships as humans is one of the strengths of us. It's the strength of building connections and building things, building social structures, building buildings, building companies together, or deeper connections and understandings with each other. All of those things are the benefit of having multiple personality types. And the reason I do this channel is for both the INTP and those who are friends and family of INTP to understand the inherent value of INTPs as well. That introverted thinking exists for a reason. It isn't something that you can just throw away in the garbage and ignore, right? So there's a reason that criticism exists. There's a reason that noticing inconsistencies exists. It's not just to solve your problems or to fix your VCR or your computer or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what you have these days. Somebody could have a VCR that needs fixing, and an INTP probably knows how to fix it. An ISTP probably knows how to fix it, if I'm honest. We could figure out how to fix it. But if that's our niche and we're interested in that. But point being is that like a lot of the time, it's like the IT guy as the ITP person, that it's like suddenly this person's super valuable when your computer breaks, but any other time you don't want to hear him talk about anything. And that's frustrating. That sucks. That's diminishing the value of an INTP as a human being. So, but it's also twofold. Like I said, you have to fight for yourself as an INTP, and I think it's good for others to also champion other TI people, other INTPs. So that's why I have this channel, because I wasn't really seeing many champions out there for INTPs. I've seen a couple people make a couple videos and then they just kind of give up and move on, right? And it's hard because INTPs are not the best feedback givers. I do get a lot of really great comments, but not at a consistent pace. And sometimes I get feedback that is crude or is maybe about my mustache or something in a negative way. Like, why is that relevant? Or something like that, or using extroverted feeling, or trying to be right about something, or trying to re-summarize my video in a way that's through their language to make them look smarter or something like that, right? There's a lot of reasons why people don't like INTPs, and you're not helping. So it's help yourself. And I say that in regards to mental health all the time. Like, you are the person that lives with yourself the entirety of your existence. Like, no one is taking a poop with you. It's just you, unless you're in a public stall and someone's next to you and you're having a conversation. But that doesn't happen all the time. If you're in your home privately on the pooper, that's you, right? You're spending time with yourself more than anyone else. And it's up to you to champion yourself, to fight for yourself, to fight for what you need and what you want, right? So for me, helping INTPs is like something that makes me feel like I'm not only trying to do something for the world, but really it's a bit of a catharsis for myself. But I also just like, what other personality type? I mean, there's very few other personality types that have the ability to change the scope of our understanding of reality. Right. And the problem is very similar. And this is very shaky ground that I'm about to enter, but stick with me. Very similar to the opportunities in society that are not allowed because of things like race and gender and all of that stuff. INTPs can easily get smushed, right? If you're a person that doesn't fit into those roles or are able to get into society easily, or have someone pay for your things, it gets even harder for someone who is an INTP. And it's so hard because it makes it sound like I'm trying to play this game of like, who's got it worse? Who's got it worse? Right? That's not what I'm doing here. But it's just, I think it's part of the authentic experience for a lot of INTPs that, like, parents don't understand, as Will Smith used to say, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And then, family members, bosses, like, there's not a lot of understanding about how introverted thinking works, because on the outside it doesn't look like much, right? It just looks like a messy desk on the outside, or a messy apartment on the outside, right? But on the inside there's a lot of sophistication. There's so much happening. There's so much organization. There's so much being filtered and processed. And it's just like, if you could see the inside of an INTP mind, yeah, there's going to be memes and weird porn things or something. I don't know what's in your brain as an INTP, depending on your age and moral whatever and ethics and stuff. Like, there's going to be a variety of stuff, but just the sheer amount of cognitive processing and ability is overlooked because of there's this assumption that this idea of genius sometimes get attributed to INTPs. We've got like the Sherlocks of the world, and who's a fictional character, but like Dr. House, who's probably an ENTP, but whatever. Same kind of idea, just like these brash, direct, interesting characters that are also geniuses, Dr. Bones from the show Bones. My my references are starting to get more and more outdated as I get older. It's super weird. But all these characters on TV that are like appreciated for their genius, there could be their little genius on their couch and they don't even realize it because they're not learning about this person and trying to get to know how they think. And that's not their fault either, right? Like there's so much that we're battling against. There's so much that everyone's trying to bounce off of each other and understand how the world works. Or we've got rudimentary understandings of how the world works. Or maybe we didn't have parents who could teach us certain things, or we had traumas that we had to deal with as a result of our parents' traumas. And now we got to deal with that. And we're preoccupied with these emotions instead of using our genius for something. Or we're just born into poverty and we have to like climb that ladder first. Or born into a certain class system or racial system or anything like that, which, let's face it. I mean, the reality of life is that there are very few people that can kind of slip through life really easily without much effort. And for INTPs, it can require a lot of effort because we're on our own, and it can be really hard to show other people who we are. It can be really hard for others to hold space for us. It can be really hard for us to teach others about ourselves because we're still learning about ourselves as well. We may not even feel like we have an identity, which I've done a video about. And so therefore may not feel like we're worth battling for or defending or championing, like I'm saying. So when I'm talking about what do INTPs value in relationships, it's all of what I've said, of course. But it is about having a safe space with a person to be able to express however we want to express in a reasonable way, right? We're human and we can't just unfiltered blast our thoughts at everyone unless you have a YouTube channel and therefore you just got to listen to what I say, or you can click off the video. That's totally fine. But it's really hard to find those people that are willing to not only cognitively hold space, meaning there are some personality types that are just like, this is too much thought and I can't handle it. But there are some people who, maybe misconstrue your thoughts. But there are people out there in the world that can hold a lot of your thoughts, are fascinated by your thoughts, particularly when they're people that are in the same niche as you, or people that are, close to you in some sort of way, right? And really the lesson here, I think, for you as an INTP that's watching is, or listening, is that is when I said that if I'm carefully crafting my questions and thoughts and putting effort into a relationship that is not only just trying to help someone figure out their thought process or notice inconsistencies and all of those things, but I'm putting in those disclaimers and saying like, hey, can I be honest for a second? Or can I hit you with some harsh truths? And if you keep doing that and they keep swatting it away and saying, no, I'm not ready for that, or I can't handle that, or that's not what I want from you, or whatever, then like I said, I'm done. And I think it's good for you as an INTP to know when those relationships are just not working out and you have to seek something else, right? It took me a long time. Like the last video I posted was about, getting married. And as an INTP, it took me a long time to even feel like I was worthy of a partner who was willing to listen to me. I felt like I had to mold myself into something completely different to be loved. And that's not what I want for other INTPs, right? It's good for practice, right? It's good for you to practice listening to someone and to holding space for them. Like that's good as well. If you want someone to hold space for you, you've got to hold space for them. Reciprocity. That's how that works. So if you're being one-sided and just trying to push your opinions, but you're not holding space for someone's emotional thoughts or their musings or whatever, then, it's not going to be an even exchange. It's not fair. You're trying to make a deal with your partner or with life and say like, I'll give you $10 if you give me $1 million. That's just not how that works. Nobody would take that deal. Right. So, stop expecting others to take that deal. and don't also take that deal, So I hope that made some sense. So there's a chance that the audio video went out of sync for this. This is a new setup. So let me know what you think of the setup. Let me know what you think of this video. Let me know. I need an extra light. That's going to help. Probably somewhere up here. Hello. But yeah, let me know what you value in a relationship. Tell me your story. I want to know where maybe you've had some struggles with past relationships, and especially if you're having a relationship that's working for you. I think what I want to inspire and give to you as an INTP is a sense of hope. And I want others in the comments to also provide some hope for other INTPs. So if you're in a happy relationship, or even if you're not in a relationship anymore, but there was some good elements of a past relationship, or friendships, partnerships, anything like that where someone was able to hold space for you and have connections, or maybe it was just like Reddit threads or something where you were able to, be honest and get some catharsis for yourself as an INTP, put those in the comments below for other INTPs to get some hope out there that, there's 8 billion people in the world, and there's someone out there for you that you can connect with romantically or personally or professionally, whatever. It's possible. You are not lost in the sauce, as it were, even if it's temporary. It's not forever. There's always new opportunities. You just got to make it happen. So we also have another course called Finding and Maintaining Relationships for INTPs, which you can check out at dopamine.school. And that's really it. I have been C-Note. If you have any questions, comments below. Oh, also, I'm starting a secret podcast for more cathartic personal stuff on Patreon. So patreon.com/dopamine, DOPEAMINE. Join me over there. And it's $3 is the minimum, so you can just join there, get a premium podcast that's a little bit more unfiltered, and that's where you can also connect and ask questions, and hopefully we can start to build a little bit of an INTP community there. And it's going to take a few of you signing up with no one there first, but I'm around. You can ask questions and we can connect and vibe and all that fun stuff. Nothing's really off limits. Just don't be a meanie bucket. So I have to actually do work now, so I'm gonna post this and get back to life. So I appreciate you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that fun stuff, and I'll catch you next time on Dopamine. See ya.